Hi everybody and welcome to today's class. We're going to move through a full body sculpt and we're going to start by laying on our backs. Find a position that's comfortable for you on your back with your feet away but flat on the ground. We're going to take a moment here now to connect with our breath. So taking a deep inhale in through the nose, breathe out through the mouth. And we're going to try and warm up through that spine. So when you breathe in, try and lift that rib cage up off the mat. And as you exhale, try and press it down towards the mat. And again, peeling that spine up off the mat as far as you can. And then also relaxing, tilting that pelvis backwards and just imprinting your spine onto the mat. Keep going with this. We have a few more here. Really taking your time and rolling through that pelvis as well, anterior tilt and posterior tilt. Now raising your arms up, but keeping the arms flat onto the ground. Allow your knees to just fall towards your left side whilst looking over your right shoulder. Inhale and exhale through the nose and mouth here for a few moments, and then we are going to turn around to the opposite side. So dropping your knees down towards the right, look over your left shoulder now and make sure you take a few deep breaths in here whilst we just stretch through that thoracic spine. And bringing everything back to the center, we're just going to focus a little bit closer on the pelvis now, and we're going to get into an anterior tilt, arching your lower back off the ground, and then a posterior tilt, trying to flatten that little curve in the lower back. Find your midpoint, engage your core, and then float one leg and then the opposite into tabletop position. Raise your arms up directly above the shoulders. Exhale and raise your arms straight above your head and then bring them back into center on the inhale. And we're going to bring in the legs, so left arm extends, right leg extends. And then you bring them back into center, working with your breath and most importantly, not arching your spine up from the mat. We want to think about keeping our belly button towards the spine and that core engaged. It's not important how low you get your arms and legs, so don't compromise the movement in your lower back. If you feel yourself arching up, then don't lower your legs or arms as low. Think about how far you're reaching with your fingertips and your toes rather than how low to the ground you get. We have a couple more either side. Really focus on that breath and connecting the movement with the breath. Remember, there will be a temptation to speed up. Just take your time. The slower, the better. And make the next one your last one. Bring it back to center slowly. And well done. We can stretch that out. Just hug your knees in towards your chest. You can give yourself a gentle massage in your lower spine by just moving your pelvis around in a small circle. And keeping our legs in tabletop, we are now going to bring our hands behind our head and exhale to sit up in a modified sit-up, lowering back down. Exhale to bring up those shoulder blades off the mat and inhale to lower down. This is purposefully slow so that we can really connect with the breath. Try to rest your head into your hands rather than pressing your head down towards your chin with your hands. Keeping your knees steady where they are. On the next one, we're going to rotate towards our right side, so bringing that left elbow towards the right knee, but keeping that knee absolutely still. We want our legs to stay in tabletop, and we are only twisting through that thoracic spine. And again, exhale and bring your right elbow towards your left knee. Inhale to bring yourself back down to center. Keep this going and try and keep those legs absolutely still in a tabletop position, knees over hips. We have a few more here. Remembering to rest that head into the hands so that you can support your neck with this movement. And now we're going to layer the exercise, so make this your last one with your knees straight, and on the next one, can you extend that left leg out long whilst you still continue twisting that left elbow towards the right knee? Bring it back to center and then do the same on the opposite side. Opposite leg extends whilst that shoulder and elbow go towards the opposite knee. As I always remind people, you want to bring the elbow towards the knee and not the knee in towards the elbow. So really focus on bringing those shoulder blades up off the mat and twisting as much as you can through that upper torso. Pretty sure you should be feeling this burning. It definitely was for me. Focus on your breathing pattern. That will also help to distract from the pain. But actually, if you have a little bit more, can you push yourself now and straighten the leg that is in tabletop when you twist towards it? So we're almost making a scissoring type movement. So as before, the opposite leg will straighten, but now can you straighten the top leg? If you cannot, continue with where you were with just straightening one leg. But if you can, we're only here for a few. Well done. And after this one, keeping your legs as straight as possible, grabbing just below the knee. Can we bring that knee towards the nose and keeping the legs straight, switch to opposite sides. So bring them in and then lower the leg. We only have a couple here. Keeping that gaze up towards the knees. Quick exhalation as you bring the leg in. Inhale and swap. We are almost there. We're doing one more each side. And well done. Lower your legs down, lower your head down. You can take a really nice stretch there as we did previously, and also just roll in a circle on that pelvis just to release any tension in the lower back. I hope you're still with me and we're still in a good mood and good spirit, and we're going to continue on to our next exercise. Take some water, of course, and pause this if you need to. We're now going to continue laying on our lower back, but we're going to bring our feet together and drop our knees wide. And we're only here for just a few, so bear with me. Once you have your knees open wide, bring your arms up behind your head so that you can support your neck. And we're going to crunch everything closely together on an exhale. So take a breath in, and on the breath out, bring your knees up towards your elbows, and then inhale to lower everything down. Exhale to bring everything up close together, and inhale to lower down. Your feet do not have to touch the floor if that compromises your lower back. And as promised, we are only here for a few. So as much as you can, exhale as much as possible, get all of that air out, and inhale to lower down. Keep going. Really think about crunching in as making yourself as tight as possible. Keep going, and we have our last one. Oh, that's such good work. Well done. Lower everything down. Well done. How are you feeling? You are so strong. That was not an easy routine, and you've got through that. We're now going to lie onto our side. So we want to have our forearm down on the mat, and we want to keep our elbow below the level of our shoulder so that we're in alignment. Bend the lower leg, and then straighten the leg that is on top. Our hips should be stacked on top of each other, so we're not leaning backwards and we're not leaning forwards. So we're going to take a deep breath in, and then on the exhale, raise that lower hip off the ground and then slowly lower it back down. Exhale to raise and inhale to lower down. We want to make sure that we're moving straight up, so we're not leaning backwards, we're not leaning forwards. Imagine you're a slice of toast in a toaster. That's how much movement you should have, only to be able to go up and down, not backwards and forwards. So keep going here. Taking your time through the movement and keeping that lower supportive arm flat down. So keep your hand flat down on the mat as well. So that top hand has been on our hip, and for the girlies who are saying this is fine, I need to advance this movement, I want you to raise that top hand straight above you. So lift your hand up towards the sky, and this just gives you a little bit more instability. So it just challenges you and your core a little bit more through this movement. What we're going to do as well now, because it's time to layer on the next level of this exercise, is can you raise that top leg? So every time you raise that hip up off the ground, can you extend that top leg out as far as you can, keeping it straight? If this is not available to you, continue with where you were. If you are raising that top leg, remember to keep it straight and try and point that toe. We're going to go into the next layer now. So with that leg raised, keeping our hip up off the ground on the next one, we're just going to raise and lower the top leg. So we're staying in a modified side plank, and we are just lifting and lowering the top leg. We're only here for a few. I know it's burning on that outer hip. Keep breathing through the movement. Well done. I told you it was quick. Taking a very brief few moments here, we're going to get back into that hip raise. So back into the position where we were, except now what we want to do is rainbow and extend that top arm as far as we can, and then bring that arm back down towards the knee. So you want to think about lengthening that top hand and thinking about how far can you get your fingertips away from your toes. And we're thinking about the stretch that we can get through that top side of our body. You do not have to touch the ground. In fact, you shouldn't be able to. And really, with the crux of this movement, we want to think again that we are that slice of toast in the toaster. So keeping ourselves in alignment. And this is our last one. Well done. We're going to stay in this position just to make sure that your ears are away from your shoulders so you're not sinking in and collapsing. Also raise that waistline from the ground. And so what we're going to do now is advance the movement we were just engaging in. So you want to extend your top arm and top leg and then bring them close in together, almost as though you're going to bring in the knee towards the elbow. So turn your head and follow that top hand with your eye line, trying to get as long as you can. Think about lengthening and then crunching everything closer together as they come in. Let's also be mindful that we're not sinking into that shoulder, and we want to keep the waistline engaged. So think about lifting up through that waistline, especially in the lower part, to keep that lower oblique involved. We have a few more here. I know you're getting tired. Use your breath to help you with the movement and try not to rush through it. And this is the last one. What we're going to do now is hold here, placing our head behind our hand. We're going to slowly bring that foot forward and backwards. If it's too much for you on the elbow and shoulder, you can extend your arms out and then just rest your head down whilst keeping the foot hip height, so no higher or lower. You want to point your toe as you bring your foot forward and then flex your foot as you bring it backwards. The main objective here is that you don't want to swing your hips forward and backwards, so you may place that top hand down in front of you just to provide you with some stability. A small Pilates ball or very small pillow is great here as well if you want support just for your head so that we can maintain alignment. You can also place your top hand on your hip to just give you some tactile feedback about that hip staying quiet and still. Make sure you breathe and also keep that foot up, but again at hip height and no higher. For those of us who chose to stay up on the forearm, there's a little progression that we can make here. This is really going to challenge your balance, but you want to twist in the opposite direction to where your leg is lengthening. So as your leg goes backwards, twist down towards the ground, and as you bring that leg forward, twist up towards the sky. Keep pointing that toe as far away from the center as possible. You only have one more here. Back to center, and you can lower your leg. How was that? Are we still friends? You know we still have the other side to do. Brace yourself. Take some water, take a little bit of time if you need to, pause the video, but we're going to turn around on the mat and do the other side. We want to make sure that we are in one long line. Remember, we're a piece of toast. And that shoulder is in line with the elbow and our hand is flat down. Then we're going to raise up our hips from the ground and lower them. We want to have our bottom leg bent and our top leg is extended if we need that support. So this is actually a progression on what we did on the other side. So if this feels fine with you, then you can continue here. If you think you may actually need a little bit more support in the bottom leg, then please feel free to extend it. We'll need to later anyway for some of the other movements. Remembering to breathe as we do this, the smile is optional, and raising that top hand if we feel that we can progress to that. As we'll need to be straightening that top leg, we can do so now. Continuing to raise up off the ground and lowering down in a controlled fashion. We're going to add that leg raise now. We only have a few here, but remembering if this is too much, just continue with the hip raises. Keep going. Think of all good things, how much stronger you're getting, the lengthening that's happening in your body. Connect your breathing to the movement. That's an amazing distractor. And raise your hand if you think it's easy. I didn't think this was easy. I'm just showing you the progression. Again, this just creates a little bit more imbalance and makes you work a little bit harder. Only a couple more, and then we are just going to lift and lower that top leg. So we go again, raising up, and now we stay up and just lift and lower that top leg. We're only here for a few. Almost done. And lower everything down to the mat. Catch that breath very briefly because we're going straight into it. Extending that top arm out and then also bringing that leg in into a side crunch. Remember, the motive here is to extend as far as you can. So you want that fingertip to go as far as possible from that big toe. And then we bring everything closer together into a tight crunch. Focus on your breath and focus on lengthening. We only have 3 more here. Keep going. Quick challenge, can you do the last 2 with your hips raised? Oh, I love to see it. Well done. We're swiftly going to move on to the next movement, which, if you remember, will be in the same position or with yourself laying down. Keeping that top leg straight, we want to extend it forwards and bring it backwards, remembering to point our toe as we bring the leg forwards and flex the foot as we bring it backwards. Now, as I said before, you can lay down. You just want to provide some support for that head so it's not dipping down. And make sure that we don't raise the foot too high. So we want to keep the foot at hip height. A hand can go in front of you to help stabilize you so that your hips are not rocking forwards and backwards. We do not want that movement. If it is easy with that hand down, you can place that hand on your hip. Focus on your breathing and also the tempo. So I'll be coming back up onto my forearm, but feel free to stay laying down if that suits you better. And we're going to continue with our progression, so raising that top arm behind the head and then moving in alternate direction to the leg. So as the leg goes backwards, we want to think about twisting that torso down towards the ground. And as the leg comes forwards, we want to twist backwards and extend towards the ceiling. We don't have many here at all. Try and take your time and move with your breath. Keep going and taking your time. This is the last turn towards the ground. And we are done. Well done. That was not easy, and your glutes should be feeling it. Mine definitely was. You have survived my side lying super series, so well done. We're going to get into a 4-point kneel now, and to begin with, just a cat-cow stretch. Get some movement in through that thoracic spine. So nice deep breath in, and then raising up through that thoracic spine, looking towards your belly button. And then a big exhale and try and bring those scapula down and look up towards the sky whilst arching into that lower back. And we are not in fact stretching to finish, we're getting ready for a push-up. Lean forwards, send those elbows backwards, and then we're going to get into a modified child's pose, stretching everything back, and then again, bringing all of your body weight forwards, keeping that torso straight, do not arch in your lower back, and bring everything back. Bring those glutes towards the heels, stretch out through the arms. Keep going here, we have a few more. Now this should be a tricep push-up, which means your elbows should be facing backwards and not out towards the sides. We're getting a rest in there with the stretch, and then we lean back forwards, making sure all of your body weight is forwards. Think about bringing your chest down as close as you can towards the ground. And keep going here. Let me tell you, this will snatch the back of those arms. You know that bingo wing? This is my magic trick for that. Alongside diet, of course, but this is a great exercise for that. I know the lactic acid is building up and you're probably tiring a little bit in those arms. You'll be pleased to know that we only have one more here. Taking that stretch back, and this is your last one. Such a good job, thank you, well done. Last push-up, but not the last exercise. We're going into a bear plank. You'll be delighted to know. Untuck those toes, and we're going on the exhale, bringing that belly button up towards the spine. We're going to raise the knees up off the mat. You don't need to go very high, and we're only holding for a few seconds before lowering back down. Back into the modified child's pose stretch, just leaning backwards in between. We're going to go back into the bear plank. So brace your core, belly button towards the spine, raise the knees up off the ground. We're hovering here, and we bring the knees back down. Now, I do like to add in the stretch. You don't have to. You can just stay in the 4-point kneel until we're ready for the next one, which we are ready for now. Brace the core, up, hold, and lower everything down. I can hear you saying, this is so easy. Oh my goodness, what could we do to progress? Of course, I've got you. Raise up and twist your knees now towards your left hand side. Twist them back to center and lower everything down. You can take a little stretch if you'd like to, and you've guessed it, we're going to do the same to the opposite side. Raise your knees up off the mat. Twist to your right hand side. Keep those knees together. Dip the glutes down a slightly bit and back to center and lower everything down. Pretty sure I heard somebody say that the breaks were unnecessary. So what we're going to do now is raise those knees up, twist towards our left hand side, hold there, back to center, don't drop the knees, twist to the right hand side, hold there, back to center, and lower down. How was that? Let's take a little stretch. Oh, I hear you're crying for more. Okay, let's layer this a little bit more. Raise up, twist to the side, lift your top hand up, hold, back to center, and lower those knees down. You can take a little stretch if you'd like to, and we are going to do the same on the opposite side. Raise up, twist to your right hand side, extend that top arm up, hold here, back to center, and lower the knees back down. You can take a little stretch here, and just as the final push, because I know you're all baddies and you can do this, we are going to go back up and we are going to twist to our left hand side. This time no break is needed because our cores are so strong. We're going to twist to the opposite side and back to center. And why not? One more, of course. Yes, let's do that. Raise that top hand up, back to center, twist to the opposite side. This is the last movement. Let's do this. Let's hold that. Let's go. Back to center. Woof. I felt that. Those knees came down a little bit too fast. Take a stretch here. And you can get into a child's pose by just spreading your knees slightly wider and trying to bring those glutes back down towards your heels. We're just going to get a little bit of a stretch there by bringing that right hand underneath, threading it through and lowering that shoulder down. Get a nice twist through the torso. Take a few deep breaths here. And then do the same on the opposite side, threading that arm underneath, bringing the shoulder down towards the mat and just taking a few deep breaths in. And then again, we're going to go back into a child's pose and really take our time here, trying to get those glutes down as close to the heels as possible. Really release any tension in the lower back and also in those shoulders as well. Now bring your right hand over your left hand and try and look under that right armpit. Try and extend that stretch towards that side and do the same on the opposite. Left hand on top of right. Take a few deep breaths in there. Then just lay down flat and bring yourself up just to stretch through the abdominal muscles. We've worked super hard on the core today and we are done. Thank you so much for joining me. That was so hard. You did so well. Thanks. Bye.